I'm inside and I got issues.
Oh yeah, those are good because of the Now there's none of that.
Today's issue is Flip City #1. This is a magazine, so I have a completely different grading scale for these. I'm gonna be grading this on the mint scale. M for media, I for information, N for entertainment, and T for timelessness. How does this book rank? There's a few different media pieces in this magazine. There are 6 songs that went against the establishment back in the 60s that had some influence on today's modern culture. These songs were pro-commie, anti the establishment, anti-cops, anti-money, for just giving all of the worldly possessions to anybody who asks for them. And the magazine thinks that this is the reason why we have this counterculture that is now the current culture, loving everybody, all hippy-dippy, fun jazz, stuff like that. But this culture was used to brainwash the children of the 60s into being more open and causing the world in which we live in. These values were used to destabilize the youth and the culture. Flip City's lowlights and lowlives of 2019. If you remember back in 2019, you might remember some of these names. They're still relevant, but some of them are not actually. Jussie Smollett, AOC, Trudeau. He was caught having old photos of him in blackface. LeBron in support of China. I don't remember this, and I don't remember the context in which this is around. And this magazine, it does some reflection. It doesn't give the full blurb of the context for any of these, really. It's just kind of a humorous reflection on what's happening here. Drag queens reading in libraries to children. Jeffrey Epstein's suicide. Nicholas Sandmann did not harass Nathan Phillips, and so he got a bunch of harassment online and a lot of death threats. I don't remember any of this happening, and the magazine doesn't do a good job with telling me the context of these events. It just says, well, this happened, but it doesn't say exactly what happened. It says the person, and then this person harassed this person, or didn't harass this person, or whatever. And it doesn't say who these people are. It's just like, well, this person is a Native American. I'm like, okay, but what did this person do? And why did the person who didn't harass this person get a bunch of death threats? I wish there was a little bit more context with all of everything. But if you are informed about what is happening exactly within these little blurbs, these sections, if you remember, then I think you will get something out of this. 2019 low lights, honorable mentions. Megan Rapinoe wins the Women's World Cup, and the marketing and the coverage of this was focusing on her, not the team. Disney launches Disney Plus. Oh man, I have Disney Plus, and Disney Plus has just discontinued Hulu, and now all the Hulu shows are going to be on Disney Plus. That's in 2025, not in 2019. The first Joker came out and everybody was afraid of everything that was going to happen because of the Joker movie. Oh boy! Joker 2 came out and it was a completely different vibe from the first movie because everybody was afraid of the Joker 1 and what was happening to people, but I don't remember Joker 1 having any effect on what people did in 2019, except for the people freaking out about it, where they're like, this is going to cause a mass shooting, it's going to cause a bunch of deaths. And because it's like the Streisand effect, because of that mentioning, it got into people's heads, and people who were susceptible to that type of messaging, the type of like constant telling of that the Joker is going to cause a bunch of people dying, then because of those people putting highlights on what's happening, then those people ended up killing people because of it. It had nothing to do with the Joker movie. It had everything to do with the people talking about the Joker movie. And this magazine points out to the Joker movie about how people are scared of the Joker movie and its effects. Greta Thunberg has appeared, and you can't make fun of her because of her mild Greg tardation. And then there's a little comic strip about how it would be like if Rambo went woke. And then Flip City announces their flagship cartoon that is on flipcitymag.com. That's happening. and it's introducing all of the casting characters. We're featuring the Resistocrats. Stephen Colbert, Grossy O'Donnell, Michael Samore, Alec Baldwin, Kathy Grievin, Sarah Silverback, George Tackey, Dopra, Madummy, Meth Lyers, Jim Scary, Fatten Oswald, Fleminem, Dupe Slobby Slob, Rob Weiner, and Mr. and Mrs. C. All the people have blurbs about them. Some of them I got, some of them I didn't get. But also wasn't super invested in the politics in the 2019 year. I was in college. Shithole the Musical. We got 4 parody songs, and I like how there's a little blurb of what the parody song is parodying. What's the tune? Milkshakes or 99 Problems, stuff like that. And there's little caricatures. I should mention that there's caricatures of every political feature and public figure that is featured in this magazine. They're not very flattering. 3 out of the 4 songs I got, I don't know what Rump Shaker is. And then we got 2 comics. We got Tiny, he's at his dad's funeral. His dad was a kingpin, and he falls asleep during it, and then he's given these clown shoes to wear, quite literally shoes to fill. He's like, yo, you gotta wear these big shoes. They are your dad's, and now you have to wear them in order to fill them, because you're now the head honcho here. Puts them on, and they honk when he walks, and he stops walking, and then he's in the car talking with these 3 dudes, and these 3 honchos. They're not head honchos, but they are honchos. They be like, yeah, we got like an honorable job, stuff like that. How about we go rob that minimum wage employee and get Orange Julius? And they don't have Orange Julius's anymore. RIP. I remember what Orange Julius was. I went to the mall. I went there. It was like right next to the Dairy Queen all the time. This is some satire. I don't get this comic. I get the next comic a little bit more. Country Rescue. We got this guy. He's a host of this television show where he goes around to countries and he's like, let me fix all of your country issues. Here's how you do this, here's how you do this, here's how you do this. And he goes to one country where there's just like homeless people all over in a terrible place. And he goes to the officials. He's like, here's how you do this, here's how you do this. And then the officials be like, okay, cool, we did it. Months go by and they check in and they've fallen into total civil war because they weren't the ones who provided the solutions. They were just given solutions, but they didn't follow the guidelines set by this host. And so they went into total civil war. And that's the end of the magazine. A lot of political satire stuff. Information. I feel like you have to know the context of the world, the figures, the references. You have to know everything outside of this magazine in order to really get this magazine, because it is satire. If you do get everything in this book, I do think you'll get something out of it because you got some pretty funny satire. The parts in which I did get, I got, and I laughed at. It was a fun time. It was an enjoyable read. Entertainment. Again, you gotta know everything, but I think you will be entertained with the caveat that you get all the satire and all the references, and this was when coronavirus was just starting up. The way in which the information is written and how the satire is written, it has like a very poetic nature to it, using the words that sound good in the sentence and kind of fill out the sentence, but like in a way that's funny, but also important for delivering information, which is good. It's mostly a lot of satire and jokes and making fun of public and political figures, as you should. And the humor felt very Gen X. If you're into that, then check this out. T. This is very dated. This is the start of 2020. It's looking back onto 2019. So if you remember 2019, if it was a very significant year for you, then I think you would be interested in this book. Or you can just read all of Flip City magazine as it goes throughout the years, as it is a quarterly magazine. This was a fun place for them to start, though, at the very beginning of coronavirus. Government lockdowns, forcing people to vaccinate with experimental chemicals that caused a lot of problems to people who did get injected. 100% government control. 110% government using the power of the state against their citizens. And I don't see any mainstream news covering events in this sort of satire way. You can't get this level of satire in mainstream because the mainstream, they're bought and paid for, okay? And that limits you. That limits you to only what the advertisers want. And we got this indie magazine, it's given what the people want, which is good. So the timelessness it's dated, but if you remember 2019, then I think you'd be into this. So what does this get on the mint scale? M, media. There's a good variety of media, good satire. Plus, I'm interested to see the animated cartoon, and I like how this first issue establishes the animated cartoon and the characters that will be played into it, which means that I can interface more with this magazine, which is pretty fun. This magazine really does heavily focus on you needing to know the references inside of it and the people, though. So I would have to give the media, I feel like it's a little limited, but there's a large range of media, and overall, I liked the cartooning of everything and how everything was written, so this is out of 5. So I'm gonna give the media, it's like a 3.5. Information. Not a ton of information given, but it is a satire, so if you have information from the outside sources and you read this magazine, then you will get the information and the satire. It will be delivered to your brain. It will be going right into your brain. This feels more opinion-y than it does information heavy, but there is some information there. Just I wish that there was a little bit more information there for people who aren't very familiar with the times and also just the cultural context of everything, really. So I'd have to give the information out of 5. I give it, it's like a 2.5. Entertainment. I was pretty entertained reading this magazine. There's some things that I didn't quite get, which pushed me out of the immersion of the experience. But in the parts in which I did get, I was like, okay, this is pretty alright. I'm alright with this. It was an easy read. And it's a relatively short read, too, which is good. With all the words that are there, they move very easily, they're flowy, and it makes for a very fast read. So I'd give the entertainment, it's like a 3.5. And timelessness. This is very dated. If you don't have context for 2019 and 2020, early 2020, then I don't think you would get much out of this. Otherwise, it's alright. So I'd give the timelessness, it is not timeless, it is quite dated. And so I'd have to give this, it's like a 2. I only give it the point because the end comic, it really is just about humanity. We got this person who goes in to try to fix a country, and then they're given all the right ingredients to make a successful country. And instead they go into civil war because they didn't come up with the resources and plans themselves. It was just given to them, so it's not like naturally ingrained in their behavior. And so they become a civil war, and he ends up ruining the country. And I found that to be very funny, so I'd give the timelessness, it's like a 2. And so what does this get on my mint scale? It gets an 11.5 out of 20. And that has been Mint Scott Issues.
Oh yeah, those are good because